Just as we expected, West Virginia and Alabama have canceled their series in football. That's right, the 2026-2027 home-and-home series between West Virginia and Alabama is done. We're going to talk about that in this episode, and I'm going to explain why it's somewhat of a buzzkill, in my opinion. Also in this episode, we're going to talk about West Virginia's roster, and specifically at quarterback. Do they have a problem? Should we actually be concerned about West Virginia's quarterback room instead of being excited about it the way we have for most of the offseason? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode, so stick around and we'll have those conversations. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis surrounding the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. It's official. West Virginia, Alabama, nixing their 2026-2027 series, and it's actually been officially announced by the school. And here's the announcement, or at least part of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll leave a link in the description box. But it says, West Virginia and Alabama have mutually agreed to cancel the two-game football series between the schools that was set to take place during the 2026 and 2027 seasons. The Crimson Tide were scheduled to visit Milan Puskar Stadium on September the 5th, 2026, while the Mountaineers were to play in Tuscaloosa on September the 4th, 2027. And it goes on to talk about how this is allowing West Virginia to align their schedules like their peers in college football, how they want to get to one Power Four, one Group of Five, and one FCS school each and every year in the non-conference, in addition to their non-conference games. You know, West Virginia has been playing two Power Four schools for the last 7 seasons in the non-conference, and they've been wanting to get away from that. This is a step to do that. And they have, you know, Ren Baker's talked about it. We heard Neil Brown talk about it. Hadn't really heard Coach Rod talk about it much, but it is a big deal. It has been an issue for Ren and for Coach Brown. They finally were able to get that done. And with the SEC moving to 9 conference games beginning in 2026, you know, and I talked about it on the show, a couple different episodes, we knew that this was a very, very high likelihood of happening, that this cancellation was likely going to happen. It's now official. I even did a video, and I'll link to it at the end, talking about several different opponents West Virginia could play in these seasons. Some were Power Fours, and some were Group of Sixes. And one of the teams I talked about are actually one of the fill-ins, which we'll get to in a minute. And I'll be honest with you, I was excited about this Alabama series. I could not wait to see Alabama come to Morgantown. Did it have the same feel that it would have had Nick Saban been in Alabama? Not quite, but it still would have mattered. It would have been exciting. It would have been a sellout. You would have seen 60,000 screaming Mountaineer fans with a blue blood like Alabama coming to town. And I likely would have had a chance to tailgate with some friends of mine who were Alabama fans. Now that's not going to happen. I'm a little disappointed. That's one reason I think it's a buzzkill. And it's even worse, and no disrespect to the teams they're replacing them with, which is Coastal Carolina in year 1 and Southern Miss in year 2. So it's not even Marshall. They're replacing Alabama with a Group of 5 team or Group of 6 team each year. Now in 2026, West Virginia still has that neutral site contest against Virginia that they're going to be playing in Charlotte, so they still have a Power 4 opponent on the schedule. However, 2027, they have no Power 4 non-conference opponents at all. They're replacing that trip to Tuscaloosa with a game in Morgantown against Southern Miss out of the Sun Belt Conference. Now, I actually mentioned Coastal Carolina as a possibility here, as one of the replacements, because of the connection with new President Michael Benson, who came from Coastal Carolina, and because they had an opening in their schedule. But I did not see Southern Miss on the radar. I did not see, to be honest with you, I didn't even think to look at Southern Miss as an option. I was looking at more regional opponents, you know, in and around West Virginia, Ohio, Virginia, Pennsylvania, you know, the Northeast, areas like that. So I got to admit, Southern Miss wasn't on the radar. But the reason this is a buzzkill to me is because I'm sorry, but I can't get excited about going to a game. Now, will I likely go to these games? Absolutely. But I can't get excited about going to a game to watch Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss. Now, I can get a little excited about it, but nowhere near the excitement level as having a Power 4 team come into Morgantown. Now, is it possible we could see further changes to this schedule where maybe Pitt moves and West Virginia both move some things around to get some games on the schedule? Maybe. It's possible, but at this point, it's probably unlikely. This 3-year hiatus that the Backyard Brawl is taking might, unfortunately, remain intact. Now, even though I said this is a buzzkill as a fan, I do totally understand the reasons here. I understand why West Virginia wanted to go this route. I understand the economics to it. They now get 7 home games each of those seasons. When you add in the games they're playing with the Big 12 and the games they're going to be playing in the non-conference, because they now get all three games at home in 27 and 2 of the 3 at home in 26, with the lone non-home game being a neutral site game in Charlotte, where there will be a ton of West Virginia fans, and they're going to be making a lot of money to play that game. But at the end of the day, the financial impact is a huge incentive here. Every time West Virginia gets a home game, they get the gate money, they get the concessions money, they get the merch money. Even though they're going to likely have to pay these teams to come to Morgantown, they're still going to come out ahead with the ticket sales and everything else combined. And Ren Baker has talked about the economic impact it has on the local community, and heck, even on the whole state of West Virginia. He's talked about the importance that he feels like West Virginia athletics has a role in helping the state economy. And he feels like this is a way to do that by getting people into Morgantown, helping with tourism dollars, those types of things. This is a little bit of a letdown to me. I can't help it. That's the fan in me talking. The analyst in me talking totally understands it. I totally get it. The team's likely going to start the much better chance of starting the season off 3-0. You should be less banged up going into Big 12 conference play, which now is even more critical because you've got to get into, get in the CFP. The best way in is to win your league. All of that. I get it. I understand it. There's legitimacy behind it. There's according to Ren Baker, there's data behind it. I understand it. But man, as a fan, I'm sorry. Replacing Alabama with Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss it just doesn't feel good to me. It's a little bit of a buzzkill, and I'm sorry. But again, that's the fan speaking. But I understand it. I'll likely still be attending these games, and I'll still be there to cheer on my Mountaineers, whether I'm there at the game or at home on the couch. So I get it, but I am disappointed. Next, we're going to talk about a potential roster problem I see that could be creeping up at WVU that I haven't heard anybody else talk about, at least not the negative. And I know some fans get mad at me when I'm negative, but I'm just trying to be real and honest. I'm not going to pump sunshine like other creators out there seem to do at times. I'm going to be honest and real with you on how I see things. But before I do that, I want to announce that Couz's Corner is proud to be joined up with Swivel. And it's Swivel, SWVLE for those listening. And for those watching, I'm going to do a quick screen share here and show you what Swivel is. Swivel is an extension that you add to your web browser. Right now, I use Google Chrome. I've got it added to my Google Chrome browser. And what you do, it allows you add it to your extensions, and you go down here and you'll see, you turn it on. You go to Manage Extensions. You go down here to Swivel, SWVLE. You turn it on. When you pull up your homepage on your internet, on your computer, boom. If you follow Couz's Corner on Swivel and you pin it to your browser, you will get all of your Couz's Corner and WV Sports Chat content all in one place, right here on your desktop. Isn't that pretty neat? It's a way you can support me. It's a way you can access, if you want to see what we've written over on the site, if you want to see what I've posted on social media, if you want to see, obviously the YouTube videos are at the top. All of that's featured right here on this homepage, on the Couz's Corner homepage right here on Swivel. Again, it's Swivel, SWVLE. Go check it out. West Virginia University Athletics. You can also access them on Swivel as well. As you see, I'm following them. But if you really want to access your Couz's Corner content easily and quickly, all in one place, Swivel allows you to do that. Just add the extension today. And thanks to Swivel for reaching out and adding me as part of their family. And I'm looking forward to working with him going forward. But now let's go ahead and go to the next topic. And that is, is there a potential roster problem at West Virginia? We've heard Coach Rod talk about the quarterbacks, right? We've heard him talk about how he even said on his coach's show, he might play all 5 quarterbacks this year. He says very, very good possibility. He also said it was possible, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said it was possible that he would play multiple quarterbacks in every single game this season. And I know he's talked about how it's the deepest quarterback room he's ever had. He went through each quarterback, talked about what they brought to the table. He talked about Nico's experience, his ability to read the defense, talked about Jalen's experience, talked about how they're both willing runners, talked about how true freshman Scotty Fox has the quickest release he's ever seen, talked about Khalil Wilkins' speed, talked about Max Brown being arguably the most athletic quarterback in the room, all of that. And that's all great. And I think all those guys are good. But what I'm concerned about, if you have to play multiple quarterbacks in every game, does that mean you don't have a great quarterback? Does that mean you don't have one quarterback? Because let's not forget, the Big 12 is returning 9 starting quarterbacks from last year. About 6 of those guys are expected to go in the NFL draft. You've got Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, Josh Hoover at TCU, Sam Levitt at Arizona State, Rocco Becht at Iowa State, Avery Johnson at Kansas State, Noah Fafita at Arizona. Just go Jalen Daniels at Kansas. Go down the list. There's a bunch of good transfers that have come in. Caden Salter, Devin Dampier, Connor Weigman. All of these really good or even great quarterbacks in this league. So either West Virginia has 5 really, really good to great quarterbacks, or they just have 5 average quarterbacks. And that's a little concerning to me. Now, I do trust Rich Rod. I do think he's an offensive guru, and I do think he knows how to manage it, even if he does have an average quarterback. He will make average quarterbacks good or great with his play calling, and by knowing how to put them in the best situations and how to allow them to use the weapons around them and those types of things. So I have confidence in that. I'm not saying they can't still win football games, but it could be much harder. And then he made a comment in his presser today, and I'm recording this on Tuesday, August 26th. He did his weekly presser today that he's going to be doing all season. He moved his press conference to Tuesdays. In his weekly presser, he made a statement that I want to talk about. Let's go ahead and play the clip. This is from Blue Gold News, Blue Gold News' YouTube channel. Let's play it, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
When you're open against an FCS team, do you let yourself maybe be a little more open-minded for position battles, like you said? If every position could be, or like if this was Pitt week 1, you'd probably need to be a little more.
No, typically, as I said, we're not really being coy when we're saying, oh, this guy or this guy, because it's not, and it's not like we're trying to play games with the players either. I mean, they'll know, and obviously when you only put 11 out there, who's going to be the guys. But we've got guys that are rotating now more than I've ever done before, from scout team to regular travel squad deals. They'll take 10 plays on a scout team, then they'll go on the other side and somebody will flip. And so I've never had this many guys that are rotating both ways, both things that do that. And that's just because, a lot of them have not separated themselves enough to be a surefire, he's the guy, he's the starter, the other guy will come in if he gets hurt or something like that. So it's truly pretty open in a lot of spots.
You mentioned open in a lot of spots. Don't have that one true guy stepping up at several positions to be the guy. So either this roster is so deep and talented that it's hard to pick out who's the best, or it's an average roster with a bunch of average to good players on it. And if that's the case, I think that's cause for concern. Now, it might not be the case. It might be they're so deep they have that many good players. It's also possible this could be coach speak from Coach Rod. Maybe that's the case. But you let me know. I know I have a tendency to be glass half empty, and I'm sorry about that. 2 reasons for that. A, I drank the Neil Brown offseason Kool-Aid too many times, and it burnt me, and now it's hard for me to do that, right? I'm kind of gun shy and skeptical. The second reason is it's kind of my nature. I am naturally a pessimistic person. I can hear a comment I see something, the negative piece of that, or what could go wrong, is the first thing that enters my mind. That's just the way I'm wired. It's the way my brain works. It's something I've had to fight my entire life. But it's just the way I'm wired. And sometimes when you're analyzing sports, it can be a good thing because you can see both sides, because I'm also a fan and do have a tendency to drink the Kool-Aid, right? But when I hear comments like this, it makes me step back and go, wait a minute. If you don't have guys that are separating themselves at multiple positions, that could be a problem, because maybe the guys just aren't that good. Maybe they're all just average to good players. And let's be honest, we've seen that already for the past 6 years. And now a lot of that is because of lack of player development. And I do have faith that Coach Rod and his staff will develop. If these are good to average to good players, by the end of the season, they could be really good to great players. I do believe that. But does it mean that we're in for an average season? I think it's very possible. Now, again, you can get mad at me all you want to, but I'm just trying to be real with you here. I think if you don't have guys, now maybe we'll see guys separate themselves in the first 1 to 2 to 3 weeks of the season. And we won't, maybe Rich Rod's not having this conversation again a few weeks away. But the fact that he's having it right now, to me, is a little bit concerning, because they've had spring and they've had summer and all fall camp, and they still don't know who the best players are at multiple positions. You throw in the fact that Jamoy Robinson's not going to be playing in game 1 more than likely, and may not even play the whole season, and he's expected to be your elite pass rusher. I think there is yes, there's cause for optimism this year. Yes, I'm excited about the season. Yes, I'm excited to see Rich Rod run out of the tunnel again. All that excites me. But I'm also being cautious about getting my expectations too high, because I'm weary that some of the things we're spinning as a positive could actually also be a negative. But let me know what you think. Am I being too negative here and reading too much into this? Or is Rich Rod is this just coach speak? Is this just him saying, look, I want these guys to continue to compete because we do have so many new guys that I want them to continue to compete and earn their spot? Or does he have a bunch of great players that are all, and we might even have great players in the 2 deep? Or is it a roster full of average to good players who just can't seem to separate themselves? And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I'm torn here on how to read this, but I do think it's fair and honest to look at this from both sides. And I think for the most part, as fans, we've looked at it from the positive side, but I wanted to bring you the other side of the coin. But I want to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments section. Are you concerned about these comments by Rich Rod? Are you concerned that we haven't had a quarterback separate themselves? Let me know in the comments section. Want to give a shout out to my channel sponsor here, Appalachia Digital. If you need yourself a new website or you want to upgrade your current site, go to appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know I sent you. They are the ones who designed our brand new website over at wvsportschat.com. They did a great job. They can design you one too. appalachiadigital.com/Couz, and thank them for supporting what we're doing here on the channel and over at the site. Want to also give a shout out to my paid VIP channel members of this episode. If you want to be a channel member, a paid member, hit the join button below or the join button over at my channel homepage or in the description box of this show. My paid VIP member shout outs to this show, which is one of the perks, by the way. Those are James Green, H. Bar Farkle, Cody Cutright, Chris D., and Morris Davis. Thank you all for your support of the channel. It's an easy way. It's a very small amount that comes out of your paycheck every month. If you want to support what I'm doing here, help me keep the lights on, it's a very easy and inexpensive way to do so. And along with it, you get a few small perks as well. Want to remind you to please like this content. If you thought this video was good, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps the YouTube algorithm, helps me hit the YouTube algorithm. I'm getting very close to 10,000 subscribers. I'm over 9,600 now. I'd love to get to 10,000 by the end of the calendar year. Actually, I could potentially get there by the end of football season, or even in football season. So please help me get there. I'm on my way. Share this with your family and friends. Ask them to subscribe if they like West Virginia Mountaineer sports. This is the place they need to be. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate your support. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Q Country Roads.